Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the IT Directorate call. Let's give everyone a few minutes to join. We get everyone from those back-to-back meetings, so we'll be starting soon.
Hi everyone.
Hey Marco. And of course, now is a perfect time if you want to do any audio checks or others.
Audio checks? Are you asking for audio checks?
Seems to be working. Wouldn't be the first time if it's
Carsten, can we hear Carsten?
Probably not. There's probably an airplane somewhere at the airport and his Wi-Fi is shutting down again.
He's at an airport. Better than being in an airplane, I guess.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hey Renzo, yes we can. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to be here. My first time.
A special welcome. Okay, so I guess we can slowly get started while people are still rolling in. So welcome everyone to the IETF Directorate IETF 122 pre-meeting. So unfortunately, Ines was not available at the beginning of the call. She will be joining later, so I will be running the show today. So we have our usual agenda. We'll be starting with the quick reminder about the IoT Directorate reviews. And then the main part of the meeting will be the overview of the IETF and IRTF IoT groups, where each of you chairs will get a few minutes per group to give a quick report what's going on. And the purpose there would be to see if there's anything that we need to synchronize on, especially across the groups, and also get a nice overview of the upcoming activities and ongoing activities at the groups. Then we have a usual segment on if there's any new or planned IETF or IRTF IoT activities that would be useful for everyone to be aware of. And finally, any other IIT SDOs that are of relevance to us that you could get an update for the whole group. And if everything goes as planned, this meeting should be recorded and the recording should be available sometime after the meeting. Any questions or comments on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, so then let's get started. So first, let's start with a quick reminder about the IoT Directorate reviews. So as you know, we all in the IoT Directorate review list. Our expectation is that you will be able to also review IoT-related documents coming from the IETF. What we have noticed sometimes when we chairs ask to do the reviews, we hear that you are not potentially experts on the topic. And just a quick reminder on that you don't need to be expert on the specific topic of the document, as long as you have expertise on the IoT topic, which of course all of you have. So don't be afraid to even accept review of documents that you might not be exactly on your field. We of course always do our best trying to assign reviewers based on that where we believe you would have good capabilities to provide feedback, but of course it's not always possible. But please still do accept the reviews. And in particular, if you're not able to accept, for example, because of time pressure or other commitments, no worries, just decline the review as soon as possible. Then we know that we can assign it to someone else. And if you have ever any questions or comments about this, just approach us. Chairs are more than happy to help you here. But with that, we could continue do the overview of the IETF and IRT groups. So starting with 6low, I see Carl's here. Carl, please go ahead.
Okay, hello everyone. 6low will meet in Bangkok. Since the last ITF, we have a new RFC. That's RFC 9685, listener subscription for IPv6 neighbor discovery multicast and anycast addresses. And we currently have 5 working group documents. 2 of them are quite advanced. First one is path-aware semantic addressing, PASA, for LLNs. The second one is IPv6 neighbor discovery, prefix registration. These 2 documents have passed working group last call, and the Shepherd write-up is ready. Although for the second one, there are some details pending about IPR and the implementation to be confirmed by the author. And then the other 3 documents are a bit more behind. The first one is transmission of SHIC compress packets over 15.4 networks. In this document, as you may recall, the document tries to use SHIC to compress headers over 15.4 networks. Then the second one is transmission of IPv6 packets over short-range optical wireless communications. This is basically enabling IPv6 over IEEE 802.15.7. And the last one is generic address assignment option for 6LoWPAN-ND, which is a companion document to the main PASA specification, and it allows a node to request being assigned an address by a neighbor. So that would be it for 6LoW. Any comments?
Thank you, Carlos. Any comments or questions here? Okay, then moving forward, I see we're simply missing the ACE and ANIMA chairs today. Anyone else who can provide any comments on ACE or ANIMA? What's going on? What might be relevant for the rest of the IoT Directorate?
Yeah, hi. So actually an RFC just came out on Brewski async enroll, and essentially the collection of extensions constrained Brewski and Brewski PRM mode, RFC 8366 bis, and I think there might be two other documents. They're all kind of collected together, and I guess they are weaving their way through, and will probably form a cluster very soon for that. So if you have comments, or it's a good time to mention something. And Ari, I don't know, I think maybe you should post the announcements for this to the working group chairs list too. I'm not sure that everyone's on the IoT Directorate list.
That's a very, very good point. I mean, let's say all the chairs should be, although I did notice some of the changes in the chairs we had missed from the last round. But very good point. So we're also wondering why we're missing some of the chairs quite often. But we'll look into that, and reminder on the chairs list sounds like a good idea. Thanks. Any questions, comments? Okay, and thanks a lot for the report, Michael. Then ASDF. I guess, Michael, you continue.
Hi. Okay, so we had a virtual interim last week. It's all a blur to me. Lorenzo Corneo has joined us as co-chair. Nicholas has stepped aside to, but actually means we get another person involved, because he's not going to leave. He's not leaving. He just has too much time. Doesn't have enough time. So SDF was sitting in AD review for a bunch of time. Karsten has managed to, I think, get that forward. We're now into IESG reviews, and I don't know if we'll get through the IESG before Francesca leaves us. Karsten, you want to say something there?
Yeah, just mentioning that the ASDF base spec is on the IESG agenda tomorrow.
Oh, okay, it is. All right. We've dealt with all the discusses, or we're still waiting for some more?
Well, we will see. I have replied to all the discusses, but whether people are happy, we will see tomorrow.
Okay, I guess we'll see tomorrow. Cross your fingers. So we have been dealing primarily in the last couple of weeks with the digital twin, and then the what we have, for lack of a better term, called non-affordance properties. So those are things that, the device either doesn't know exactly, can't be queried about itself. An example is the car is red. The device may not know its color, but something else might. And this is connected to also digital twin pieces about it. So for instance, things about, where exactly the device is, that the device actually might not know itself, except that it's, above something else or whatever. So that's the space. We're not meeting at 122. We will have probably at least 2 virtual interims before 123. and we hope to make progress online. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. And Henk, go ahead.
Yeah, just from my dying bed here. Michael, what you just highlighted, really that sounds like a one-to-one mapping, what Reds calls an endorsement, so the device can't tell about itself, but it has to be told from the outside.
Yes,
that is not
that is a good observation.
Yes, that is, and also I'm literally infested with value add graphs. Some people call that a supply chain, and there's a lot of these things that come from the manufacturing of the stationary experiment equipment for analysis and such that goes as samples to that, and I think that is something that ASDF is not focusing on today, but it might be a future topic for discussion, just as a side note. But when you said this out loud, it really sounded like it's exactly that, just without the evidence.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Henk. I mean, this is a very good insights and exactly spot on why we're doing this across all the IoT groups. Okay, and then any questions or comments on the ASDF? Or further questions or comments? Okay, then moving forward, we have CBOR, and I guess Chris, go ahead.
Yep. So on CBOR, yes, we will be meeting. We have made some progress on the CDDL modernization with 2 RFCs on the grammar update, 9682, and on additional control operators, 9741, which was just recently published. We have 3 big documents right now on our table in I'd say increasing order of complicatedness. We have work on a deterministic encoding. I think that the most troublesome aspects there are being sorted out. So we're starting a working group last call on that. Packed CBOR is in a stage where there's a bit of like haggling over code points, but I think we're in the general direction of doing that. And that haggling will take place on the mailing list and eventually also in Bangkok, and I hope that's an eventually. And then EDN literals is where the most complication is, because there are very different views on how we should use ABNF in that nested situation, and which extensions we can or cannot envision, or which it does or does not make sense to plan for. So that's where a few where also other at least I think 2 or I think all of those have documents already depending on them. So we're trying to get this fleshed out. Less controversial is the modules updated to CDDS, which is still work in progress, and then we have a few individual drafts that might eventually become working group items. Yep, we meet for 1 hour. We'll have interims after that. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Chris. Any questions or comments here? Okay, if all clear, we can move forward. So we have core. I guess Marco, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. So since November, we published 1 RFC 9C68. You can notice the very long title, and as it says, it defines the details of using the ad hoc agreement protocol developed in Lake with co-op in the interest of establishing OSCORE key material, including a particular optimized workflow. And we shipped to the ISG recently 2 documents, one procedural, that is, as we speak in IETF last call, on updating the registration policies of an IAM registry in the co-registry group. And a second one, it's an overhaul of the previous experimental RFC 7390 on group communication for co-op. Then we have some other working group documents in advanced status. One companion document on secure group communication with co-op based on the group OSCORE protocol, waiting for Shepherd write-up. 4 documents that have just completed working group last call, and they have essentially worked on addressing the comments received there, and we expect to move them forward soon too. And 1 more is in working group last call as we speak, core pub sub. Of the originally 4 documents in the core conf cluster, we have 2 more to go, for which we plan to issue a second working group last call as soon as the work on those resumes. Of course, we have more working group documents still under development. Related to those, some activity has happened on Young Seaborn and C tools, for which the corresponding documents were published already as RFC. But more work happened in the last few weeks and expected to happen some more in the next few days before Bangkok. And I think Carsten plans to give a report about that during the core session. Beyond that, there's also more development on SAR documents for secure group communication in advanced setups, so building on the 2 documents I mentioned before, and the development of OSCOR to be used also at proxies, not only end-to-end as originally talked to, and opening also for nested OSCOR protection in turn-enabling tunneling. There's also been a major revision of the key update protocol for OSCOR, kudos, that will also be presented in Bangkok, and progress on transport indication, essentially defining means for servers and proxies to provide an indication of the core transports they support. So we do meet in Bangkok for a 2-hour session, and then we'll resume with interim meetings on April 9, every 2 weeks. And that should be it.
Great, thank you, Marco. A lot of things happening in the core group.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a bit on the Young modules for SDF files?
I leave it happily to Carsten, who really knows the details.
Alrighty. Carsten, are you able to?
On the Yang modules for SDF files?
Yes, line 145 in the notes.
Oh, yeah. So to actually SDF,
Or maybe it's typo?
is that it? Maybe.
That should be coming from other notes. So maybe there was a typo there in the first place. But
Alrighty, that could explain.
yeah.
Then we can then fix it in the notes. Okay, thanks. Any more questions or comments? Okay, then everything else is clear. I guess we can move forward. So then from COSI, I don't see the chairs here. Anyone else who can report on COSI? Okay, then moving forward, we have DetNet and we have Janos. Janos, are you able to report? Now we can hear you.
Sorry, it's hard to find the proper unmute. Sorry for the background noise. I'm co-chairing TSM weekly call at the same time. So for DetNet, I have added the key things to the hedge doc. We have the raw technologies scheduled for telechat, so we are really getting done with that one. And we have 2 documents we are getting done with too. They completed working group last call. This is the raw architecture and the DetNet controller plane. So we are finalizing, fixing the last comments, and we really want to go ahead after this coming IETF. And what I called as hot topic in the working group is a new data plane for addressing new scaling requirements, for which we have a number of queuing proposals, and we are now working on this taxonomy draft linked there, which the purpose is that to down select these queuing solution proposals. Now we are working on categorizing them, and hopefully we would select one for each category. I guess that's it in brief.
Very good. Thank you, Janos. Any questions, comments here? Okay, all clear. Then moving forward. And IoT Ops, guess we have Henk here.
Yeah, semi here. So we got some feedback on the BIS of 7228, which should be a topic. So there's an agenda cut off today, and up to this date, we have not received any presentation offers for IOT, which is not a big thing because Warren, our outgoing AD, also dropped the ball on the rechartering, which is a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, well, there we are. So we have a new charter proposal. I think that's not entirely public for the MUD inclusion of specification in the IoT Ops working group that was intended to be a mix of a landing platform for people having questions for IoT and the IETF, and also for, I want to say, cross IoT coordination point, but the MUD part seems to be as universal, universal enough to be included in the IoT Ops charter, and also Ops working group is like immensely overloaded. Speaking as a former Ops W chair, I can confirm that. So recursing from that, but staying with IoT Ops, expect a discussion of the charter at the very least at Bangkok. I hope for the 722 8 BIS proponents to have an update on that. Also, the security protocol comparison ID is pretty much is on a good course, but I unfortunately did not sync with Francesca about that. But I think that's basically coming to completion. So I expect these two items to be agenda items, although they will not be on the agenda submitted today, as again, the reply ratio is sparse.
Great, thank you, Henk. Any questions or comments here? And hope you feel better soon. Thanks a lot for joining.
I'm trying to be better for takeoff next week. So if that doesn't happen, I will not be in Bangkok.
Okay, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that IoT Ops will be in parallel to IENA BIS, and two of us have a draft that we maybe need to defend there, so we will have to do some agenda jungling to be able.
So that's a conflict. That's a conflict that has been highlighted here now. I think the time for conflict resolution has passed.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't marriage creating chaos in the agenda. So just wanted to mention it.
Okay,
send some avatar.
Alrighty, something to coordinate on. Very good. Okay, then moving forward, and for Lake, Renzo, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Eric. Hi, everybody. So, so Stephen Farrell stepped down as co-chair, and me, I step up. So I'm with Malisha. We are co-chairs. We will be having a meeting at IETF 122. Originally, we requested 1 hour. We got 1 hour 30, and in the end, we are fully scheduled. We have many things to present, even 2 proposed outside talks about quantum, post-quantum, and the other I forgot. I pushed the agenda today. And then what happened since last ETF? We have 4 new documents adopted as working group documents, all around EDOC. Well, one, I don't know if it's worthy to enter on the details, but one is about remote attestation. I think this is the one who has many things to discuss. Then another is on PSK-based EDOC. Another is about using greasing extension for EDOC. And the one from Marco and others on profile application for EDOC. And then we have other two already working from before, two draft working, which keep advancing, and ideally we want these other two to ship in this year. Yeah, and I think that's for the update. If you have any questions. And yeah, this is my first time, so learning a little bit, pushing a lot of buttons. I hope not to push the wrong buttons on the interface. But thanks to Malisha, this is, yeah, it's okay.
Very good. Thank you, Renzo. And once again, welcome to the directorate also.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not on the mailing list. I'm here because Malisha forwarded me the email, just to let you know, Ari.
Yes.
I don't know if I should be on the mailing list or.
Yes, I'll fix that later today. Yeah, we realized that we did miss a bunch of updates between the last IETF and this one, so we'll add you to the various lists, so you will get some emails very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions on Lake? Okay, if no questions, then moving forward for rats. Seems we are missing the chairs. Anyone else who can report on rats?
Oh, I don't even have to raise my hand in order to. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, this is Hank. Rats is spawning a ton of new work. So everybody realizes that the abstract diagrams and the architecture are not entirely correct for every application, so to speak. Yes, that is true. That's intentional. That's absolutely the way it should be. And now people are arguing how to extend the architecture. I think there's not a lot of impact on the IoT scope, but I can take one of you lesson learned here. There's still a lot of people, and I want to quote a large scaler, or you call hyperscaler, I think you call them. I want to quote a hyperscaler. Peoples are afraid to change, so JSON is still the thing they want to type down, and CBOR is the thing they have to use in the end, and there's still some distance between these two actions. So that's something, and over and over, it is a conversion thing. Some stakeholders deal with it from the beginning, so they do rewards JSON in concert, and some are learning the lesson to try to implement CBOR and then create a more readable interface to the developer. That I want to say again, this is a quote, this is not me scared of change. That's an interesting observation. That's not super surprising. I think recent developments on the EDN side and recent developments on the tooling for CBOR and CDDL can help with that, but we are not in a place where people feel entirely comfortable about that. So at the moment, we are doing in RATS either the CBOR only or the more preferred JSON or CBOR choice. And that's a dot feature, so speaking CDDL control language here. And so that's a take-home message. So a lot of people understand the feasibility and the applicability of, for example, cozy envelopes and designing in that space, and then on the very, very other part of that spectrum, people on magazines and on LinkedIn are still somehow sometimes throwing a smoke bomb about the flaws with signing JSON, right, with Jose, which is like from 2015 or something. I don't know. So there's this gap is closing. I think there's still a lot of work to be done to evangelize and to highlight from IETF to application people to project managers and such, that there's not such a big gap. But the tooling is lacking. Is a very strong feedback in the RATS working group. The tooling for the IoT realm that is CBOR and CDDL based, and to some degree I can't disagree with that. But again, we are working on that, and RATs typically there's a flurry of profiles that are based on CBOR quorum thingies for every major hardware vendor does a profile for quorum, for example. It's a concise referent integrity manifest, and there's AMD and Intel and ARM, and all of them are doing profiles for their specific solutions. So that's a good sign for IETF standardization efforts. But again, it also comes along with this, I want to say, disconnect tooling and standards text problem. Yeah, that's my RATS message, basically.
Very good. Thanks a lot for the great report, Hank. And maybe you want to check out the notes if you managed to capture all your points correctly, but that was very useful. Any questions or comments on the RATs? Okay, if no questions or comments, then we go to Roll, and Ines, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ari. Roll will not meet in this next IETF, but we have submitted to the IETF several documents like IOTDIR REPL, DAO projection, RNFD. And then next in Q4 working group last call is enrollment priority. And then active work, we should have capabilities, MOPEX, and NSA extension. That's it. Thank you, Ari.
Thank you, Ines. Any questions or comments on the Roll? Then moving forward, we have I guess we don't have JIC chairs, Pascal or Alex. No, anyone else who can report on JIC?
Okay, maybe I can provide a very quick overview. Yeah, JIC is having bi-weekly interim meetings, and there are 4 active working group documents. The first one is the JIC architecture. Then there is the use of JIC for ICMPv6 header compression. Also the update of JIC for CoAP header compression. And finally, the JIC over networks prone to disruptions.
Great, thank you, Carlos. Any questions or comments on JIC? Okay, then moving forward and SCIM. I don't see Aaron or Nancy here. Anyone else who can report from SCIM? Okay, then moving forward and SCIT. And I guess, Hank, will you be reporting also from SCIT?
Sure, why not? SCIT relies on COSI. So this is a COSI report. On the first half, there's the COSI receipt, which is basically counter signature with metadata, and as Russ Housley informed us, a counter signature that is not pristine is not a counter signature. So we have invented the term receipt. As soon as you do something with the thing and add something to the metadata of the outcome, that is a receipt, not just a counter signature. That is a draft. Early allocations are going on. Early allocations are weirdly going on. IANA is trying to managing that. We're trying to do early allocations for COSI receipts in both COSI envelopes at the same time. And both IANA and shares and ADs reply to only one of these IDs, where we're doing this in parallel, which is totally confusing IANA. Like, okay, I got an okay on this one, but what about the other one? Do you include that? And I think personally that replies address both IDs, but the lesson learned here is don't do them at the same time because you just get one answer. And that is very weird. So yeah, IANA is trying to figuring that out, what reply refers to which request. Having said that, again, receipts are moving well in the COSI for SCIT, and the COSI hash envelope has got Hilary's review feedback about size of the thing that's got hashed in the hash envelope, and Ori, the RAD, basically highlighted how is that a issue for the COSI. It's very the details here now, but that's a discussion where we're at basically. So that moves Skid itself has an architecture document that's pretty complete and is going to working group last call. I think starting this IETF. There's also a reference API document that's done with all people implementing this. There are at least 4 stakeholders implementing, 2 of them publishing the code. And so that's also going well. There's an interesting feedback on, oh, no, I don't have to do the name right. Carsten, please help me. Concise error messages for CoApp, is that correct? Is that the right name? There's a message data item that has some concise error messaging for interaction with the server. So Carsten is not raising his hand. So I don't know.
The document the document you want to mention is RFC 9290, concise problem details for co-op.
Yes, exactly. That one. Problem details. Exactly. So turns out if you're doing this as HTTP, and you already kind of managed to convince HTTP people to convey COSI, which is kind of the threshold. Okay, we've done that. They realize that the problem details basically include redundant information, and they hate it. Nothing in the problem details document is mandatory. As with CWT, nothing is mandatory. A great and a very bad feature at the same time. And so, we were working. Also, I personally, I think, was walking multiple designers and developers through that thing, and we basically came out with the result when using HTTP concise problem statement. Only real benefit is the human readable text about the exact problem. All the other fields were already handled by upper or under layer things like HTTP and application. So for HTTP application of the problem statement RFC, the thing that really helps is the human readable text that you can't get from anywhere else. Every other field is redundant, and due to redundancy and therefore potential surface of error is discarded currently.
Okay, great. Thank you, Hank, again. Any questions or comments on Skit?
I smuggled in Spice as the next working group. I don't know who can do a two-sentence report on them. I think they are very relevant for us.
I really tried not to speak at all here. So I can only talk about SD CWT, which is moving great. Oh, I have to really put some power into my tablet because it dies as soon as it tells me it's dying. Okay. SD stability is moving along well. We are ironing out last details, but CWT is a good vehicle for selective disclosure. If you don't know what SD means, selective disclosure is a 3-party model thingy where the issuer has to think up about things the holder, the third party, basically the receiver of the credential, wants to expose to the actual verifier / that's the relying party actually, but it's called the verifier in some relations. So it's a 3-party model where issuer and the receiver of the issued credential has a holder in between. And the holder / presenter can now decide which claims to disclose, which is solved by all claims are actually not clear text claims, but salted hashes. And then you include the actual disclosed clear text claims in the unprotected header. And then you can check as a verifier if these clear text claims match the salted hashes in the signed CWT, and then say, hey, okay, that's affirmed by the issuer. So that's basically how selective disclosure works in a minute. That's also, of course, a super abstracted and fast walkthrough. That works well. It's derived from OAuth work, which is a selective disclosure JWT, which is derived from W3C work, which is a verifiable credential using JSON LD. And now you can see why we're doing this, because Yeah, Jason AD. And so we are doing this with Ayana registered CW2/JW2 claims. And that works pretty well. It has drawbacks with linkability if you're aware of the privacy considerations of, I don't know, personal identifying information. You might understand that linkability is a bad thing. Observability also might be a bad thing because it helps linkability, but that is all just words for you if they're not involved in the ID realm with the IoT. Devices do not have all of these problems. And so CWT basically, so SPICE selective closure with CWT detached from the personal identifying information, and the use case became a border control use case. So you have an inspector and a location and an inspection outcome that you want to disclose. That makes clear that SDCWTs are more than the OAuth scope and are more than just a personal, so the pub key certificate about people, but it's about things that might have not as much as PII, personal identifying information, than other things. So that works out pretty well right now. We will do an update on another layer of disclosure, which is to encrypt the disclosed claims. Encryption requires out-of-band key management, and therefore along the supply chain is another layer of disclosure, but that's work to be done in the future. I think that's just a spoiler here. There's another thing called glue, which I made the name for, but I'm not responsible for, so I can't really talk about that. And Chris is in the line or someone.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Hank. Any questions or comments on SPICE? Okay, in that case, moving forward to suit, and here's one of the groups where we clearly missed the update on the chairs, so we still need to invite the chairs to the director, the new chairs, I mean. But meanwhile, Hank or anyone else who would be willing to do a quick report here?
The manifest is moving well. The rest I don't want to talk about.
Great. Thank you, Hank. Any questions or comments here? Then next in line is Deep. We don't have Tiru or Nancy here. And I see Hank, you also already reported that Deep does not plan to meet, I suppose, meet at the face-to-face IETF.
Yes.
Great. Anything else to mention here or any questions or comments? Okay, then moving forward, that was all the IETF working groups. Next, we have the IRTF research group. So first on list, we have the CoinRG, and so that was now already closed at the end of 2024. Any comments regarding coin final items, their relevance for IoT or any other aspects from here? Okay, hearing none. Then the next we have Things Directorate. I can give a quick report here. So what we did already, we organized an interim meeting focusing on data modeling topics. So this meeting was a follow-up from the discussions at the IETF 121 in Dublin. We've also been working pretty closely with the ASDF working group on the more researchy aspects of the semantic definition format. So kind of similar model that we had with the core working group earlier, now we're doing with the ASDF, kind of picking up things that are a bit beyond the working group scope and discussing those in the research group. And one aspect here, for example, that we discussed in the previous interim was how the SDF models can be further extended with deriving new models and instantiating those models. We are planning to have another interim soon after the Bangkok IETF. This one will be more focused on the security topics. So we will not have a face-to-face in Bangkok, but we are planning to meet in Madrid in the summer meeting at IETF 123. Any questions or comments on Things Directorate? Okay, then moving forward. Then what about any new or planned IETF and IRTF IoT activities? So I see someone wrote a report on sustain. I see it was Eve, but I don't see Eve in the call today. So I can quickly summarize it. So there's the new research group called Sustain on the sustainability topics. It's going to be kicked off on the next IETF. So we are, I mean, it's not an IoT group per se, but then of course, there are a lot of topics around sustainability that could be of interest on the IoT topics. And what E points here, they are interested hearing about sustainability research gaps, challenges, opportunities, and pertaining to IoT. So whatever ideas you have on those, you can contact the co-chairs. But then also worth mentioning that at the Things RG, we are planning to also look at this topic and have a collaboration with the Sustain RG on potentially some of the topics around sustainability. So if you want to keep posted, I guess it makes sense to sign up for the Sustain Research Group, but then of course also, as always, follow the Thinking RG group too. Any questions or comments on Sustain? And then the key question, any other new or planned IETF or IRTF IoT activities now for the upcoming IETF or in general that we might have missed in the earlier reports? Okay, it seems that to the best of our knowledge, we have a decent coverage here. As always, if you find out something, please contact us chairs, and we'll be more than happy to include the relevant activities and groups here. Then finally, please go ahead, Hank.
Yeah, I was raising my hand for any other business, but sorry, maybe I was premature. Sorry.
Alrighty, you get your chance in a few minutes. So then finally, other SDOs outside of IETF. So first we have the IoT Security Foundation, and I guess it's you, Michael.
Hi, thanks. So there's I'm trying to create what has been called the Device Identity Forum, and it's in its formative stages now. I'm told there will be a soft launch around Cyber UK in May, and this is about basically promoting the concept that devices need identities and they need to be installed in the factories, and that people who have over many years said, oh, but it's really hard and we can't do that, and reality is it's happening and it's not that hard, and it needs a bit of I would say promotion and marketing to make it happen. And that's partly the major goal of this entity, but also just to collect good stories, bad stories, all stories around it. There's a strong connection here to continuous assurance, in the sense that you can't really know if the device is safe if you don't know if it's, or trustworthy even, if you don't know what the device is. I mean, I have a document about trust anchors in T2G RG, which was kind of motivated from the same kind of origin, which is that no one really understands what's happening in the factories, because most of it is essentially tied up under, NDAs that you can't sign, because it's not between you and your vendor. It's between your vendor's vendor and some factory. And so partly a goal here is so that some of those NDAs would become much, much simpler, in the sense that they can simply say, we're doing the purple method as described in this device identity forum, except that we're doing a variation where the flowers have 6 petals rather than 5, right? And that makes it now much more tractable if we can get to that point at that level. And so this is not an IETF level specification ever, but I hope we'll be willing to review and criticize things. And if nothing else, I would really like a really good icon first certificate, because I've yet to see one. So, I mean, at that level, I say marketing. I mean, common icons would be nice, kind of even. But that's about it. So expect more. to come out in the next few months. And if you want to be directly involved, then unicast me.
Great, thank you, Michael. Any comments or questions on the IoT Security Foundation? Okay, or then any other SDOs, anything relevant for the IETF happening?
I just wanted to say that there's been a lot of kind of talk and publicity and a bunch of forums in the next month. I think there's 2 of them in the end of March, they may even conflicting, about the European Cyber Resilience Act, the CRA, not for Canadians, the Canadian Revenue Agency. And there's a lot of changes in it over the last 2 years. RIPE had a whole bunch of stuff happening a year and a half ago. It's worth reviewing and updating yourself as to where it's going and what's going on. And I still think there's a fair bit of confusion around it. And I still see some people walking around saying that the CRA mandates secure boot and that nothing else will satisfy it. And that's, I think, actually completely false. And not actually good for the industry. So anyway, just wanted to say there's a lot going on about it, and it's worth updating yourself and recognizing when people are presenting old slides, because there are lots of them.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. And maybe if you can drop a direct reference to the document to have a look at in the notes, that would be great. Okay, any questions or comments on the Cyber Resilience Act? Okay, if not, then the final part, any other business? And Henk, you're first in line, please go ahead.
I'm trying to unmute. Okay, you missed my coffee, love. Yeah, so we have 14 attendees of the IoT Directorate here, and that's not a lot of people, considering the number of active IoT Directorate members. I got 4 or 5 invites of other groups that are doctors or directorates to meet and eat in Bangkok. That's a socializing activity that helps to get together. I can't remember that has ever happened with IOTDIR. I think the social coherence in a directorate is very important. And I assume carefully that we could do better here.
Thank you, Henk. I mean, that's a great idea. And actually, we used to have way back, I think our 80s sponsored the IT Directorate food occasion at the IETF. I think we definitely should get back to that mode. So let us take a look at that towards Madrid. I think that's a great idea. Cannot promise anything, but we'll take a look. Unfortunately, I won't be in Bangkok myself, so cannot organize anything there.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not. So Bangkok is maybe the worst example to bring this up, but still, I wanted to bring it up in any case.
Yeah. No, very good point, and definitely point taken here. So let us look into it, and hopefully we'll be able to organize something again very soon. Would be great to definitely catch up with the whole director more face to face also. Okay, with that, any other business? Okay, if not, then thanks a lot for everyone joining. Yeah, and enjoy the Bangkok meeting, and we'll be having the next similar call of this before the Madrid meeting, and hopefully see you many face-to-face in Madrid. Okay, thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.